Welcome to the Solo Grind, where we shine a light on the raw and real journey of being a solo entrepreneur. I am Teresa, your guide on this adventure of going it alone, without a safety net and without the rule book. The grind is real, my friend, and so are the wins, the freedom, and the joy of building success on your own terms. I'm here to debunk the myths, share some laughs, and share what it takes to thrive as a go-getter, busy, doing it all entrepreneur. Hello, my friends, and welcome to the Solo Grind. I am so excited to have you here with me today. If this is your first time, welcome so much, or thank you so much for joining me. I am happy that you are here. And if you've been with me before, welcome back. I love reconnecting with you. For those of you who do not know me, I'm Teresa Schloop, a podcaster, brand strategist, web designer, and digital marketer. And all of that is to say that I help people stand out and shine online rather than blending into a crowd of competitors. And you can find out more about what I do at caffeinecreative.io. Just scroll down into the show notes and I've got all of my best contact methods available down there for you, whether it's texting me or setting up a discovery call on my website. All the links are provided for you below. I will apologize. I still have a little bit of a cough, so I'm going to get through this episode. And I appreciate you hanging in there with me as I take sips of water and cough a little bit. But showing up for you is important to me, and I'm going to make it happen. So, back to the podcast, to today's episode. If you've been following along with me this month, you will see that we have been talking about love all month long. It's the month of February, why not? And we are talking about loving ourselves, loving our businesses, and loving the lives that we are building. Today, I want to round off the conversation by talking about love for our clients. And I'm not just saying loving the fact that somebody is willing to pay us, but the love that we pour into the services and products we provide to them, the details that we use to make ourselves stand out and be unique, and all the little things that we do to create a stellar customer experience. That is what builds a business that is lasting. And if we don't take the time to love on our clients, we're not going to have clients. They are the reason we are in business, and we want to respect and appreciate that role. So before we talk about the client experience, however, I do want to share a little personal story. Now, 29 years ago, yesterday, my best friend, Crystal Loveless Nurple, who, if you've been with us on the show, you've heard me mention or you've heard one of her episodes. It was 29 years ago yesterday that she married the love of her life. I was there. It was a beautiful wedding. And interestingly enough, it is her wedding dress and a conversation we had a couple weeks ago that actually inspired today's episode. Now, Crystal's wedding dress was something straight out of a bridal magazine. It was a dream dress. We are talking intricate lace, beadwork, a detachable train. I mean, this thing was perfect. I mean, I don't think it could have been any more perfect. In fact, I would say that the fairy godmother on Cinderella could not have designed and created a more beautiful gown with her magic wand than this dress that Crystal wore on her wedding day. And it was Crystal's mom, Leona, who actually made the dress. Leona stitched every inch of that dress and added every single bead by hand. You could see the love that Leona has for her daughters in all of the tiny, minute details in that dress. And Leona did not create this dress because she loves doing beadwork or making wedding dresses. In fact, I think after it was done, she said she'd never make another wedding dress again. Leona poured her love and attention into those details because of the love that she had for her daughter. And I can guarantee Crystal felt the love when she wore that gown on her wedding day. And 29 years later, she is still feeling the love that her mom put into the details of that dress. That is what is important. And that is something that we often overlook. As an entrepreneur and a solopreneur, I realize that there is only so much that we can do. It is lovely to think and believe that we can build our own gorgeous website, have on point social media marketing that never fails. We have invitations to speak on the best podcast rolling in while clients are lining up to work with us. And we do it all between the hours of 9 to 5 because we're home making home cooked meals for our family every night and having all kinds of leisure time for those long walks on the beach that we enjoy. Fortunately, the reality is something very, very different. We often have to pick between this or that. Where is our time and energy going to go? What are we going to give our attention to? And it is that decision that often drives how well our businesses grow and how long we stay in business. Sometimes we have to choose between tweaking our website that needs some updates or thinking it's good enough, let's go work on our social media. Other times we've got something that we promised ourselves we would do. Say we promised we were going to create reels this year and it's been on our to-do list since January 1st. And yet we know that our welcome packet needs some much love and attention. Or maybe we're facing working a weekend again rather than doing that coffee date we promised our husbands. It is all a juggling act, my friends. Sometimes it can be a challenge knowing just where to put our time, energy, and attention. And one of the areas that I see get overlooked often for a lot of people is that client experience. Now, as entrepreneurs, we put a lot of thought and effort and training and blood, sweat, and tears into our craft, whatever we're good at, whether we're building websites, roasting coffee beans, or making incredibly handcrafted wedding dresses. We put a lot of time, energy into that. But we also have this assumption that when we offer a really good service at a fair price, that is good enough. And we don't need to worry too much about the rest of the details of the client experience. But what if I told you that the client experience is one of the most, if not the most important things that you can focus on to grow your business? What if I could show you undeniable facts that your business would grow by leaps and bounds if you just gave that experience a little bit more time and attention? Unfortunately, I cannot give you those facts. I cannot give you those guarantees, but I can tell you this. A happy client isn't just a client. They're a walking, talking referral machine. Your dream clients aren't looking to simply buy a product or service from you. They want to feel confident in their decision to work with you. And the very best marketing in the world has nothing to do with clever campaigns, algorithms, and huge budgets. It's what people naturally share about their experience in working with you. And let's hope it's an experience that they loved. So, in this episode, we're going to be taking an up close and personal look at the client experience. We're going to talk about what a client experience actually means. Hint, it is so much more than just being nice. We're going to talk about why the small details matter and how they can create that lasting impression forever, and how you can turn your processes into something that clients fall in love with so that they are raving about you and your business. We're going to touch on some key touch points in the client process and how you can enhance the experience to make it that much more richer and fulfilling for your customers and for you. And we're going to talk about the difference between offering just another service and creating a business that people cannot wait to recommend. All right. So that is a lot to talk about, and we're going to dive in. And first off, we're going to talk about how first impressions matter so much more than you think. Now, I think the biggest misconception in first impressions is that we think our first impression comes when we meet that person face to face or screen to screen and shake hands and start working together. And honestly, in the world we live in today, that could not be further from the truth. Our first impression begins with the instant somebody discovers us. So there are those of you out here that I've not had the privilege and pleasure of meeting face to face or screen to screen yet. You tune in, you listen to my podcast, and you are building some kind of a relationship with me. Hopefully, you like me and you would love to connect with me on a personal level at some point. But maybe you don't, and maybe you just use me as a reason to yell all day. Whatever the case is, you're building a relationship with me. And that is something that we need to remember. Our relationships with our clients begin with the very first touch point that they have. So that means whether they're discovering us through a Google search on our website, on our social media, or some other way, that is the first impression. And it really does make a difference. That first impression sets the tone for what it is like to work with you. And so if you are not showing up as the real, true, authentic, best version of you, you're not giving a clear expectation of what it's like to work with you. And that, my friends, is going to cause some issues down the line. So, how do you make that first stellar impression? How do you show up in a way that is going to connect you with the dream clients you are meant to serve? First, I would stop and ask yourself, what kind of impression am I making in my online world? Here's some follow up questions to that. Do I come across as warm, welcoming, and inviting? Do my dream customers and clients feel seen and heard and validated? Do I make it easy to connect? Big one right there. That I think is one of the biggest things that I come across is people making it difficult to connect. We'll talk more about that. All right, next question is, are the steps that my potential clients have to take simple and easy to follow? Is it easy for them to click and connect? And finally, are any of my automated communications, are they all warm, engaging, or are they cold and transactional? Now, don't worry if you're not checking all the boxes here. This is a pretty easy thing to fix, actually. It just takes a little bit of time and thought and clarity on how you want to show up in the world. So, here's some ways that you can make a stellar first impression by simply fine tuning a few of these touch points. First off, I want you to review your messaging, website, email, social media. Make sure it sounds like the real you. Okay. That is one of the biggest disconnects that a lot of people do. And I will have clients who want to be very formal and professional in their website copy, but yet their tone when you meet them is very laid back and casual and conversational. I made the same mistake trying to come across as this very rigid professional initially in my business, and that never connected me with the people that I want to work with. That is not who I am. I'm not this rigid professional person. I'm very confident, or, well, I am confident, but I'm very casual. I'm very conversational. I'm very prop your feet up, grab a cup of coffee or a whiskey, and let's have a conversation. So, that's why my messaging has that conversational casual style. If you were to meet me and strike up a conversation about anything I share online, you would probably hear me say exactly, almost word for word, what you read online, because this is just who I am. All right. So that is key number one to making that stellar impression. Be yourself. Make your messaging match that. The next thing that I would suggest is to make sure that your best contact method is no more than 2 clicks away. If I have to click and click and click and click and click to connect with you, or jump through hoops or stand on my head or anything else to connect with you, I'm not going to do it. I'm not going to work that hard. Okay. Especially if I don't yet know you. I am not going to work that hard. I would probably work that hard for Crystal or my husband or my kids, but I'm not even going to guarantee that. You have to make it simple and easy, especially when you're trying to create a stellar first impression. All right. Next, take a look at the process it is of connecting with you, whether it's through inquiries or a booking process. Is it effortless? Seriously, If it takes more than a few seconds for anyone to reach out and connect with you, you are missing an opportunity to stand out because so many people make that challenging. They bury their email address or phone number and make it difficult to find. They don't have contact information or call to action buttons strategically placed throughout their website. They don't have contact information in their social media accounts. And when we do that, it is a true disservice to us. So, making your inquiry forms or your booking process effortless is the next thing I want you to think about. Once you have that done, I want you to take a look at the responses and things that you send to people, okay? This could be emails that you send personally or automated responses. Whatever the case is, no robotic emails, nothing that is unpersonal. No, your form has been submitted successfully or anything like that. Personalize a response and create it in a way that shows gratitude and clarity and or sets up clear expectations. Okay. Finally, follow up as needed. This could be sending out friendly reminder emails for an upcoming appointment through automated channels. It doesn't have to be you actually doing it, or just the personal message and answering their questions. Whatever the case is, make sure that those follow ups are sent in a timely manner and that you're friendly and warm and engaging in those emails. I know a lot of systems out there, booking software, contact forms, things like that, have automation built in, and you think that that is good enough. But think about this. If I were to, let's say you were to submit a form on my website and you got a message right away that said the form has been submitted, and then you got an email that said the form has been sent to the web designer or the web administrator or something like that. Would it install a warm, fuzzy feeling making you want to work with me? Probably not, in all honesty. But if, as soon as you submitted the form or booked your appointment, you saw a little message that said, "Thanks for connecting. Check your inbox for more details," you're going to feel a little bit more seen and heard. And then when you get to your inbox and you open up this email that says, "Hi, Teresa. Thanks so much for reaching out. I'm excited to learn more about your project. Here's what you can expect in the next coming days." Now I address you by name. I'm creating expectations and you feel well cared for. That is the difference that I'm talking about making. So personalize things as much as possible. And the other thing that I want to say is don't wait until you need these things done. Honestly, I recommend reviewing your automated processes at least a few times a year and even your unautomated processes. This is a great thing to do when business is light and you have extra time on your hands. I sometimes love it when business is light because that's when I have the time to perfect these kind of details that create that stellar first impression. I also recommend creating a bank of emails that you can quickly use for responding to the inquiries that you hear all the time, but can't automate too well. We all have those questions that we answer a lot, and we all have the ability to write an email that is copy paste ready so that we can quickly respond to people, making it easier on us to respond in a timely manner and showing them the value that we have for them. Finally, this is the most important thing of all. I recommend that you go through your process to connect with you personally yourself. And I actually recommend you do it outside of your office. And there's a reason behind that. When we come into our office and we sit down, we're in business mind mode, okay? We're focused on our business and we're thinking about business. When we review those processes that we have in place or we respond to the email or to people, we are in a business mindset. But when we remove ourselves from the office and let's say go to our favorite coffee shop with our iPad and we go through our own processes to see how they work, we are going to be seeing them more through the eyes of our customers versus the eyes of our business mindset. Okay. So take the time to go through step by step these processes to reach out, connect with you, and get started. And do so honestly a couple times a year. Here's the reason why. If you are feeling at the least bit confused or overwhelmed, even just a tiny bit, okay, your dream clients are going to be confused and overwhelmed probably 5 times more. So, by taking the time to step away from your office, test your process for getting in touch with you, you are giving yourself an opportunity to fine tune that process to it is one that feels like a warm hug. Okay. That's what we want to do. So step out of your office, take a phone, your iPad, laptop, whatever, grab yourself a fancy cup of coffee and test those processes. Then make notes, tweak, test again. Continue this until it's all said and done. And I guarantee you're going to already be making an incredible impression on the people looking to work with you. So this brings us to that experience that we create when working on a project or in a service. Believe it or not, this is often where a lot of us fall flat or shine, one or the other. Okay. Once we booked a new client, we start getting excited about the client and we think the work at keeping the client happy is done. They like us. They like what we have to offer. We're giving them a fair deal. Why do we have to continue doing it? But the reality is keeping them happy is just beginning when we book that service. Your dream clients, the ones that are going to rave about what you have to offer, they want to feel more than this purchasing a service. They want to feel confident in their decisions. They want to feel supported, valued, and understood. They want to know that saying yes to you was one of the best things that you can do. So, how do you assess what it is like to work with you? Ask. Ask how do my clients feel when they are working with me? Now you can ask your clients and some are going to give you some good feedback. A lot of people, whether they say good or bad things, a lot of people are not going to give you real feedback. They're going to lie or they're going to avoid the question. This is one of those things that we just as a society do not like to answer these kind of questions. So I recommend that you just be very honest with yourself. You know when you're showing up and being the best version of yourself, and you know when you're having a bad day and being a little snarky. You know when you've given your clients the best you have to offer, and you know when you could have, should have, would have dug a little deeper and delivered a bit more. So think about, how do your clients feel while they are working with you? And ask yourself, do I make them feel like a priority or are they just another name on my calendar? Have I set clear expectations? And am I meeting or exceeding those expectations? Am I proactively communicating with them? Or do they have to chase me down for updates? Again, be honest with yourself. There is no wrong answer. Yes, you may want to tweak and you may not like the answer, but it's not wrong. It is right and you need to know it. So be honest with yourself. Okay. Also, ask yourself, do my clients feel seen and heard? Or am I just checking boxes here so that I can get to the next thing on my list? And then finally, do I listen to them when they voice questions, confusions, and concern before I start thinking about how to respond? Listening is a big one. Listening takes time and practice to actually stop and listen before you formulate a response. But I guarantee if you do that, you are going to have a much richer relationship with your clients. Even if you have a rocky situation, there have been times when something just did not work well with a client and I feel like I dropped the ball. However, I was there for them. I showed up for them. I listened to their concerns. I addressed their confusion, their concerns. I answered their questions, and I did so after I fully listened to them. All of these little details matter, and they show that you love and you care. Now, what are some other ways that you can do to build a solid foundation with your clients? All right. First of all, doing regular check ins. This could be emails, voice memos, phone calls, whatever the case is. Just make sure you're keeping them informed of what's going on, where you're at in the process, so they don't feel like they're being left in the dark. And again, don't wait to do this when you're in the middle of a project. Build these follow-ups and check-ins into your regular process so that it becomes second nature for you to do or an opportunity to automate. Okay. Let me get a sip. Next, I want you to make it a habit to reach out personally. Don't just fire off emails or don't just send forms to them to fill out. Start off your communications with warm, friendly greetings. Okay. If there's a period of time that you are disconnected, say for a little bit because you're working on something, and just to give you an example so you know what I mean, when I'm in design mode, all right, when it comes to actually doing the initial design of a website or a brand or a digital marketing plan, I'm going to be disconnected with my clients for 2 to 3 weeks. Okay, depending on the length, the scope of the project. But in that, I try to build in some communications that are happening automatically so that they know I hadn't just walked away and forgotten them. They're still very much on my radar and very much important to me. Another example is my maintenance clients. Some of my maintenance clients I may not talk to for months. Their website is working like a well-oiled machine. We've worked together for years. We've ironed out kinks. Things are going well. I don't need to talk to them but a couple times a year. But I make sure that I have built into my process communications that I'm sending to them so that they know I value them and I haven't forgotten them and that I am still behind the scenes taking care of things. All right. So that's what I mean by making it a habit to reach out personally. Personalized messages that connect directly. And finally, see where you can make things easier for them. All right. This could be coming up with options that you have to offer them that will help them, make decisions more quickly or better decisions about what's going on. Or it could be making a phone call to address their questions and concerns rather than emailing back and forth and back and forth and back and forth 100 times. Or maybe you just simply anticipate their needs because once you've been doing your work for a while, you start to recognize some patterns of when different things are going to come up, different questions, concerns, insecurities, whatever the case is. You're going to start noticing these things coming up and anticipate when people need that. By actively taking the step to communicate before the client reaches out, you are creating that solid foundation of a relationship that is going to last. All right. So we've talked about that before you meet, that first impression. We've talked about working together. Now I want to touch base on going beyond the expected and really delivering a wow factor. This wow factor is an opportunity for you to really stand out among your competitors and to stand out in a way that is going to be really, really positive. Okay. Here, let me pull up my notes here and get a quick sip too. All right. No matter how someone else may try, nobody can deliver your wow factor quite like you. All right. You know how to show up in the very best way for yourself. And you know little things that you can do that will take an average experience and create an extraordinary one. And the reason that you want to do that is because people don't remember average experiences. They might remember that they got coffee from you, but they don't remember who made the coffee, just that it was really good. They may remember that they reached out to you about a digital marketing plan and you had some good ideas, but it was just an average experience and you don't stand out to them. So you want to find ways to surprise and delight your clients that stand out in a much more stellar way. Okay. Ask yourself right now, how can I add some small little touches to make a bigger impact in the connection that I'm creating with my clients? Now, this could be a little handwritten thank you note, maybe a small little gift of gratitude. Okay. Now, the handwritten thank you notes, I do want to say a little caveat here. That has been a business tip for probably 30 years or more. Write a thank you note because people just don't do that in the technology age. But I can tell you this right now. If you do not write a genuine, sincere little note and you just fire off a quick, I appreciate you, all my best, Teresa, people are going to know it. They're not going to feel the love. And so you want to make sure that that handwritten note is actually personalized to them. Don't just say the same old thing that some business book said would be a good idea. Make it personalized. You could do a quick video message instead of a generic email. Okay. A lot of times my clients may have questions about something that's not even in the scope of work that I do, but just a question about something, how to market themselves in one way or another, or how to use a certain software or something like that. And rather than just firing off, well, that's not something that I do, I'll go and make a quick loom if I know how to do it and show them my process. Here's how I create this. I hope it helps. Good luck. That little extra step helps them feel seen and heard, and they know that I'm in this together. I really am here to help them and to be that business bestie that I promote online. I'm not just somebody taking their money. And then send little unexpected bonuses that could make their day. Maybe you send them a Starbucks gift card through text, or maybe you're like, hey, I just thought of this idea for what our project, and I thought it would be a nice little addition, something that doesn't cost you a whole bunch of money, if any money at all, but just a little added touch that's going to surprise them and make them feel a little bit better in their day. All right. So how do you go about creating the wow factor with your clients? Ask yourself simply, how can I make them feel special? Take a moment to think of the client journey, the process that you have outlined, and the steps that they are going to follow. What is one thing that you can add this month that would, or next month, since this month is pretty much over here in a couple of days, but one thing that you could add that would be kind and thoughtful added touch to the process? Again, this doesn't have to be anything big, just something extra that makes them feel seen, heard in a very real way. Okay. I love to send out celebration gifts when we launch a website. It's a nice added little touch that builds the excitement for what they just did. Small little gestures can go a long way to creating that wow factor. All right. So now we're going to talk about that last impression and beyond. This is one of the areas that I learned early on in my business that where I could make a really huge, powerful impact. Sadly, a lot of web designers simply launch a website and say goodbye. There is no celebration. There's no job well done. There is simply a final invoice and maybe a good luck. That is such an horribly missed opportunity because the client experience doesn't end when the final project is completed. How things are going from that point on is part of the experience and part of the relationship they had with you. So, if you really want to build a client relationship that is lasting, then I encourage you to open that door of staying connected. And again, you don't want to wait to create these opportunities when you need them. Build them into your process. Okay. So, first, you're going to start by asking, how do I make my clients feel valued after the work is all done? Okay. First thing, how do you celebrate when the work is done? Maybe it's a call. Maybe you hop on a Zoom call and you talk about what's going on and ask them how things are going. It doesn't have to be or extravagant. It just has to be real, genuine, on brand. Okay. Maybe you've got like a maintenance phase or a maintenance plan or something like that, where post projects that is part of making sure that things go smoothly. Again, in my own business, the example is that when you get me to get a new website, You get me for a full year. I don't just build your website, launch it, and disappear. You have me in your back pocket and you get my website TLC care plan for free the very first year. I do this because I want to make sure before I release them and out into the world to take care of their website on their own, that I have done everything I can to create the website that is going to support their business. I want to make sure that if they decide to take care of it themselves, they know how to take care of it themselves. They feel confident in their website and they know that we did a really, really amazing job when we created it together. So what could you do to build in that maintenance phase? And if you don't have something that you could naturally build in, what about setting up a follow-up check-in? It could be a quick 15-minute coffee chat a few weeks, months down the line. Hey, I wanted to check in and see how things are going. Hop on my calendar and let's have a quick cup of coffee. Something like that. Those things are going to continue building the relationship, and it's going to make it easier for them to want to refer you, which is something else you want to make it do. If you've got, maybe you give them a card as an interior designer, maybe you give them a postcard that they could share with somebody to connect with you and refer, and then have a referral system built in. Okay. All kinds of things that you could do to make a stellar impression. And then finally, ask yourself, do they know how to work with me again if they need to? Have you made yourself available? I've actually seen web designers disappear and not make themselves available. Maybe they rebranded, maybe they quit doing web design, whatever the case. They up and disappear and make themselves unreachable. That is not a stellar idea for any kind of relationship building. So again, we're going back to the same things that we talked about: sending personalized notes, gratitude, giving them a chance to check in, send them an email, whatever the case, but keep the relationship going. Okay. The biggest thing that I want you guys to recognize from this is that people are not just purchasing a service from you. Okay. They are purchasing an experience. And by creating a stellar client experience, you are creating something that they are going to rave about, something that they are going to tell their friends about. If they finish working with you and they feel seen, heard, appreciated, and most importantly, valued, then you have done your job as a business owner and you are creating a foundation that is going to build an incredible business ahead. All right, my friends, that brings us to the end of this week's episode. Next week, we are diving into a whole new month with a whole new slew of topics, but I am going to save those for next week. Until we meet again, have a fabulous day, and I can't wait to connect with you again soon. Thanks for tuning in to the Solo Grind. I hope this episode brought you some inspiration and encouragement. If you enjoyed it, please subscribe, rate, and review the podcast, and feel free to share. For more tips and insights, visit caffeinecreative.io to check out my blog or explore the Creative Vault, my free course library. You can also find me on Facebook and Instagram. I'd love to hear how this episode has helped you.